Our topic today is how to create an input template in 5 easy steps. So step 1 would be just choosing the type of template that you want to make. All the templates begin with going to Settings, Configuration, Input, Elements, Test, and Templates. Down here, if you go into Settings, Configuration, this is at the bottom of that screen, and you're going to be choosing the type of template you want to make. So do you want to make a social history, vitals, HPI, review systems, physical or specialty, or a clinic form? Okay, that's what I mean by choosing the type of template. Now the second item is to choose the category or organ system that you want to put your questions under. And what I mean by that is elements are going to be the category would be the blue lines that you're putting the questions under here. Okay. Over here where it says organ systems, these are your organ systems, or it could be something like neurological or something like that, where the area in which you want to put your questions under. Okay. And to create the category or the organ system, we're going to start with going back down here to our input templates and going to either organ system or category. And the title is going to just change based on the type of template that you're making. So don't let that confuse you because it's all really the same thing. You're going to click on the next line down here and you're going to hit Add New. Okay. Once you hit Add New, you're going to get a screen like this where you're going to enter the name of that category or the topic that you want to put those questions under. So all you're doing is naming the topic. Where it says code, sometimes I put abbreviations, or sometimes I'll put a word from up here down here just to make it a code unique to that particular category or organ system. And then right here, sequencing, you can sequence now and put the categories in the order that you want them to be in on your template, or you can wait till the end and sequence them at the end. They, by default, get a sequence of 1,000, and then they show up in alphabetical order if you leave them all in 1,000. But I like to sequence them at the end because then you can see everything that you've created and you can put it in the order that you want. So now, step 3 is creating the bullets, elements, and templates. So this is probably the most difficult part. It's not really difficult, but it's the most time-consuming part. And this is basically just creating your questions and your answers, okay? So in this section, I've divided this up into 3 sections. This is your question, this is your answer, and this is your report sentence. We're going to take these one at a time. So we're going to start with questions. Under the question template here, this question section, the code number automatically generates. The first 2 letters in the top of the code let you know what section or what type of template question this is going to be. So this HP is an HPI template. You might see RS for review of systems or SC for specialty, PH for physical. So you'll see that this indicates what section that template is being created on, and this just is a random number. You can let the system create this for you. You don't have to create that. The second thing where it says name, that's where you're going to create your question, okay? So it could be date of accident or something like that, date of injury or anything like that that you could put in here. You're just going to put the question that you're asking, okay? Where it says category, that's the category we just created. So you'll click on here and find that category that you just created and associate that question underneath that category. The units right here is going to be things like days, weeks, hours. If you don't need it to be in units, you can leave it blank. And this over here is your instructions for what I'm telling you over here. So you don't have to worry about writing every little thing down. Right here where it says sex, right now it's defaulting to both, but you can have questions that are strictly male or questions that are strictly female. And this, if you mark it male or female and you have the opposite sex, it will not even show up for them. But if you mark it as both, it'll show up on both templates. Now, again, you can sequence the question level. So at the question level, you can leave everything at 1000 and it'll go in alphabetical order, or you can sequence it at 1000 at the question level and put them in the order that you want. We're going to talk a little bit more about sequencing further down in the webinar, so don't worry about that quite yet. Right here where it says non-reporting, if I check this box, this will not be on any output template. So if I mark it as non-reporting, it will not be on any output. So that would be for things like, let's say you had a bloodborne exposure and you wanted to put down the person that you were exposed from. You wouldn't want that to be in any kind of a progress note, but you might need to know in case you had to go back to that person and check for something or something like that. But you wouldn't want that to be reported. Okay. And then right here, this is for non-E&M count. So as our system goes through, as you go through the system, the E&M calculator is calculating the questions and answers that you have completed. And if you don't want this to be included in that count, you can go ahead and mark it here and it will not be included in that count. So that's how easy it is to make a question. Now let's move on to the answer. The second part is to choose the type of answers that you want to have, okay? So in the answers, there's multiple different types of result types or answer types. This one here is just set to Boolean, and Boolean is yes, no, reports, deny, something very simple. But there's multiple different answer types, and I'm going to go into those in the next screen. Right here, you're going to enter what answers you want them to be able to select, okay? So if you have a set of values or multi-select, you can also enter a sentence that you want to be on your output, and you can write the sentence in here. If you're going to do Boolean, I would switch it to set of values, write your sentence, and put it back to Boolean, and then you'd be able to use those for Boolean. Then also, you can also add remarks. So that little remark field at the end of the line, if you wanted to have remarks already predefined, you can come up here and you can predefine your remarks and then select from there. Okay, so now let's go into the different types of results that we have. Here's your result types. They're listed out like this. You have a Boolean, which could be yes, no, reports, denies, normal, abnormal, anything that's usually an opposite contrast here. In the numeric element field, you have to put a whole number, okay? In the fraction field, you can put a decimal number. You can't put 1/2 for half, but you can put 0.50, and then that would work in the fraction area. Where it says select or set of values, you can drop this down, and a set of values is a drop-down list where you can only select one answer, okay? Multi-select looks like this, and you can drop it down and you can choose multiple answers from that. Where it says text element, this is a type element where you can type something in. It's a character limit of 500 characters. So you can write a pretty good sentence in there, but it does have a limitation of 500 characters. Where you have a date element, it's a white date field. And when you have a white date field, it wants an exact date. So you can use the calendar and you can choose an exact date, or you can type an exact date in. It's always going to be month, day, year for numbers for the year. Okay. Right here where it says note element, and it looks like a little notepad. This is also a text field where you can text something in, but this is an unlimited text field. So you can text as much as you like into that little spot. When it says when, it's a yellow calendar, and yellow calendars are, you can have an exact date by clicking on the calendar, and you can put an exact date in here, but you can also put in like 2005 or age 5 or anything that describes time. It is a very limited character field. So like if you're doing age 5, you want to abbreviate age and abbreviate years, maybe 5 years. Right here we have a time element. So on the time element, to get it to put the time and date in here, you're just going to click in the box in front of it, and it's going to go ahead and timestamp it for you. Not date stamp, it timestamps it. Formula and date calculation, these are only done by our back end. So if you need something to be with a formula or a date calculation to be something like the EDD date for pregnancies or something like that, these would have to be sent to the back end to have them do those. The next thing we have is a pick list, which looks like a little finger. This is also a multi-select list. And in this multi-select list, you can do things like blank weeks, blank days, blank months, blank years, and then they can come in and add 2 years, 2 weeks, 2 months, whatever they wanted to. So this is a multi-select list that you can also type something in. So maybe the question is a social history question where you're saying, what are your activities? Your activities could be running, walking, and then you could type in roller skating because maybe that's not an option for you to select. So this one will do multi-select plus type something in. Where you have the tag element, this is bringing something from another area. So let's say that you have already entered your vitals and you want your vitals to be on your specialty template and carry over. You can use a tag in here, a tag element, and it will bring the tags over so that you don't have to re-enter or you don't have to retake the vitals. It'll be exactly what you already entered on the vital screen. Now, the next two screens I just put in here to give you the explanation of everything that I just ran through. So if you are trying to type and you're thinking, oh, she's going too fast, I did type them all in here for you. So you're good there. Right here where it says report sentences, this is the bottom of that question element section. This is where you would write the report sentences or the output sentence. This is what's going to be on your progress note. You could do something like, and I'm not spending a lot of time on this because this is next month's webinar, is how to create the outputs. So right here we have a tag that says test with a colon, result, and remarks. And what this means, if I put that up here in this field, what this means is it would take my question, put a colon, put whatever answer that I selected, and any comments that I typed in or put from the remark field. So it would look something like this: car accident, colon, yes, and then whatever I put in the remark field, that would come over as well. Or I could do something like this: the injury, and have a Boolean or a set of values where you're picking one answer, was or was not, those could be my choices, a result of a car accident. And then whatever remark that I put in the remark field. Okay, if I do it this way, you want to make sure that your selections are always going to make sense in your sentence. So you always want to make it, think about how it's going to read out as you're creating your selections. So I can say the injury was a result of the auto accident, or I can say the injury was not a result of the auto accident. So you want to make sure that when you read your sentences, it's going to make sense. And that's huge. Right here where it says the plus button allows you to bring in tags. That's this plus button right here. When you add tags, it can make your report sentence sound more personable. So like here, this is the test result and remark. That is the tag that I used up here in the first one. But I could do things like his and hers, or gender tags like he and she. New lines, I can create a new line at the end of this and make the next line be, a space. And this is a page break. If I need a break in the sentence somewhere or before the next sentence, I could put it at the end or the beginning of the sentence, and then it would know to go down and make a little space there. There's 38 pages of different types of tags that you can use into your report sentences to make them personalized without you having to go in and say the patient, the patient, the patient all every time. You can say he or Miss Jones, and you can bring in the names of the patients and just things that will personalize your sentences. And we'll get into this more on next month's webinar because we're going to be doing all output templates next month. Right here where it says report sentences, there are certain types of result types that allow you to write a separate sentence over here. So instead of putting your sentence at the bottom, like I was just showing you, you could actually have different answers in here. And based on the answer, you can have a different sentence written over here. And this sentence will be the sentence that gets published when you do your output template. Okay? So the next step, that was all the different steps there, but this is called a subtemplate. So a subtemplate is when you have a template that if you were answering the template, you were going down the template, it says nodes present in the right lobe. And if you said no, you didn't need to answer anymore. You're just going to keep on going. But if you said yes, maybe there's more additional questions that you would want to ask. So you can create what's called a subtemplate. And you see these little blue marks, these little blue arrows that indicate that there's additional questions that goes along with that. If you click on the little blue arrows, it brings you to those additional questions. So if I said yes, that there's no nodules in the right lobe, if I said yes to that, I might want to ask additional questions. So this, when I click on the subtemplate button, it brings me to the additional questions. Now to write those, you're going to do the same process. You're going to go in and you're going to go into the elements and create your questions and your answers. But on this time, on that first question, that main question that I said yes or no, I'm going to give it a number over here in the subtemplate box, okay? And then when I create this second question or the additional questions that I might want to ask, I'm going to give all those additional questions that same number as I gave up here to the main question. And where it says group number, I'm going to give them that same number down here in this box down here. And that's going to create that little arrow and all the additional questions that go along with that arrow. And again, I would still rewrite my report sentence for these particular questions as well. That's it. That's how easy that is. You're just going to create on the main question, you're going to give it a number here. And on the additional questions, you'll give it all of them the same number down here. Now, that same number has to be a unique number. So how are you going to know if the number that you're using is unique? You're going to go back to the second line here, to the elements systems or vital signs. And this is going to bring up all the questions that you've ever created first. And then if you put the number that you want to use in this box right here where it says group number, if it does not come up, then that number is unique and you haven't used it before and you can use it, okay? If it comes up like this, then you know that that number's already been used and associated to another template and subtemplate question. So you don't want to use that number again, because if you did, it would add it to that other subtemplate that you're using. So you don't want to do that. You want to create a new number that hasn't been used yet. And you can go several digits out. You can go 5, 6 digits out if you needed to. So you have lots of room to create your unique numbers. You just want to make sure you haven't used that number before. And you can do that by just putting that number in there, and then you can create your unique number. Okay, so right here, creating the templates now, we're on step 4. So in creating the templates, we're going to go down to the bottom where it says templates. So now we've done 1, 2, 3, 4. We're on templates now. Okay, we're going to go to the bottom where it says templates, and we're going to hit the add new button right there. When we get to the add new button, we're going to name our template. What do we want this template to be called? And we're going to rename our report name the same thing. Okay. Down here, we're going to add all of the systems that we created to go into this template. So all those different categories that you created, or all the systems that you created, you're going to find them. You're going to hit this plus button and you're going to select them to come into this template. Now, once you selected those templates, all the questions that are associated to those templates, those categories will be over here, okay? If the check mark is in the box in front of those questions, then those questions will become part of your template. If you wanted to take a question off, you just uncheck the check mark and that question disappears and it'll still be on the template level, but it won't be on your output, or when you're going to work your template, it will not show, okay? So if it's not checked, it won't show. It'll still be here, but it won't show on your actual template. If you check this box here, this all blank right now, this is called must. And if you check that box, you must answer that question. It makes that question mandatory on that particular template. So if you check the box, it's mandatory. They cannot leave the screen without answering that. Over here, you have a specialty tab. So let's say that you have multiple specialties in your office. Maybe you're a pain management, and you also have chiropractors in your office or physical therapists in your office. You can make templates based on the specialty of the providers, and you can mark it as specialty and mark physical therapy, chiropractic, pain management, and then it would only show up for those providers with that particular specialty. Now, if you want all providers to see it, don't check the specialty box, and all the providers, regardless of their specialty, will be able to see that. In classification, if you wanted to classify your specialty templates, you can classify your specialty templates by saying screening, questionnaire, procedure, something like that, and that would show in classifications. And then when you're searching for a template, you might search for a particular classification of a template, and all those that are classified the same will come up as well. Okay, so the next step, the last step to this part, is sequencing. So sequencing is nothing more than putting it in the order that you want it to be in. So you'd go down to sequencing for the template type that you're making. And these will be over here on this side are going to be all of your organ systems or your categories that you made. So you can put the categories in the order that you want them to be in. If you leave them all at 1000, they will be in alphabetical order according to the name of the section. If you want them to go higher, you can put them up higher. Now, what I would recommend, and these are the questions over here on this side. So all the questions that are on this particular one, all the questions are over here, and now I can put my questions in order on this side. Now, these are sequenced by 100, but not exactly by 100. So what I would suggest is at least sequence them by tens. Okay, because when you sequence them by tens and later you think, oh, you know what, I should have asked another question. I should slip one in there. You can come in here easily like they did here and slip a different question in between 400 and 460. They slipped a 450 in there. So I could go ahead and slip in new questions if I leave enough numbers in between them. So at least do them by tens. That way you have room to slip additional questions in without having to renumber the whole thing. And those are the 5 easy steps to creating your template. Now, if you created a review of systems, vitals, physical, all of those are going to be automatically shown on your EMR side when you create them. But if you're creating an HPI template, it requires you to assign a complaint to it, okay? So the way you're going to do that is you're going to go to Settings, Configuration, Workflow, and Complaints, and you're going to either find a complaint where you wanted to add it, or you're going to add a new one, okay? Most of the time, you're going to be adding a new one. And to add a new complaint, you're just going to name your complaint at the top, and then come down here and associate that HPI template to that complaint. Now, this screen actually allows you to also associate the vitals template that you want so that it automatically defaults, the review system template that you're going to want for this particular complaint, physical specialty templates. If there's a specialty template you want to associate with this, you can, and the social history. In this section right here, you can code your template. So if you're creating a complaint on demand by typing in a name and hitting the plus button, it's giving you a basic template. It'll give you your name up here and it'll say basic template. Those, when you're doing those on the fly on the EMR side, you're not getting ICD code associated to it. So you could still go into the workflow and complaints and later and go ahead and associate that ICD code so that it automatically defaults. And when you're creating a new template, you're going to name the complaint, associate the template, and then associate your ICD code that you want to default. You could even pre-write your assessment and plan here. And then down here, this is going to be if you want optional ICD codes to be available for you to choose, you could actually put optional ICD codes available to choose. Now, I will tell you this, that if you are associating this ICD code to this template, that if you choose a different optional template, this assessment and plan here won't carry over. It's going to stick to this diagnosis code. If you put it into this one and you change it, this will disappear. So you'd have to write your assessment and plan that way. But you can have additional ICD codes down here if you wanted to do that. And that way, when you get to the assessment screen, they will be under the C button and you can choose them from there. They would be all related to the same abnormal skin conditions or whatever template you're using. Okay. Now you're ready to use your template. All your templates should be published. The only difference now is that the specialty template and the clinic forms do require you to create an output template to go with it. HPI, vitals, review systems, physical, they do not require that because they automatically directly go onto the progress note. So there's no output template required for that unless you want to change up your output template the way it looks or something like that, which we will talk about in next month's seminar. Now, I'm going to show you how to do some simple edits to your template. If you're working on the EMR side and you're on a template, you do not have to leave that template to edit that template. You can simply go up here between the question and the answer in this grayed out area along the same line, double click in there, and it opens up your question template again. And now you can change anything in the title. You can change the values here or add a new value to select from. And then you can make sure if you wanted to change your report sentence, it's down here. So you can change all of those things just by double clicking on the between the question and the answer on your template that you're working on. Okay, so you can add new elements down here to choose from or whatever. Also, when you're in your template on the EMR side, up in the upper left corner of that template, you'll see either add a complaint or template. This is a hyperlinks, okay? And if you click on the hyperlink, it's going to open the template up at a template level, okay? When it's opened up at a template level, you can add another organ system if you wanted to, or another category. You can uncheck a template question. Maybe you don't want that question to be on there. You can uncheck it, or you can check one that maybe is on there that you're not using that you want to use. You can go ahead and check it. You can make something mandatory. If you're highlighted on a line and you hit the plus button, it's going to give you that element screen again where you're going to create a question and answer. So you could write a new question and answer from this screen as well, just by clicking this and creating a copy of this and then changing the copy. Okay. And then how to code a template. That's always a good question because when you're coding a template, those codes can automatically default over to your assessment and plan and then over to your claim. So this screen right here I'm looking at is a specialty template. And on the specialty template level over here, we have a default code, default CPT or optional CPT in HCPCS, okay? If I want to code at a template level, I'm going to click this CPT code. Under the default, these are the codes that are always, always, always going to be on your template. And optional gives you the optional button on the specialty screen where you can choose optional. A case where you might use optional is when you have an injection that may be at various levels, and it's one code for the first level, 2 and 3 maybe another level code, 4 and more might be another level code. So then you might have the additional level codes here, but the main level code and the things that go along with it there. Okay. So to code from here, you're going to click the CPT and HCPCS button. It's going to give you a pop-up screen like this. You're going to hit the CPT HCPCS button here. You're going to find your CPT and put a check mark by it. You can put multiple ones on there. You don't have to just pick one. You can find your code by either typing in a description here or typing in the actual code. Either way, it will come up at the bottom of the screen, which is cut off. You can hit save, and then that template would be coded. Okay. Now, the second way that you can create a template is at the question level. So on each one of those questions that we were making, you may have noticed a assign codes button here. This assign code button does the same thing. You're going to click on it. You're going to choose your code that you want to associate to the question level. That means anytime that you answer that question, that code is automatically going to come over. And then you would save it. So it's the same thing. You're just going to go to the question level and code it from the question level. Now, the third way to code your template is to code it on an answer level. Okay. Now, not every result type allows you to code. Okay. So set of values, multi-select, different ones allow that coding. Other result types like maybe numbers and fractions do not allow you to code by the answer level. Okay. So what you would do is you would click on the question here like this. I do not feel sad. I might click on this one, and then I could click on associated code, and I could put a code associated to that particular question. Then I could go down to the next question, and I can associate a different code. Then I could go down to the next question and associate a different code. So you want to do this on each individual answer level. So depending on what the answer is, you can have a different code for each individual answer. Now, roles. Not everybody has the right to adjust or change templates. So if you need to have that right, or you want to have that right, you have to go to configuration, the admin column, and under the first item there would be roles. And you would want to make sure that the for that particular main role, like maybe you're a nurse or maybe you're a provider or administrator, you'd want to make sure that that particular role has these boxes checked. So under where it says test and HPI, review systems, vitals, physical, specialty, any one of these sections that you might want to change a template for, you want to make sure that you have all of these as checked. This is read, create, update, and delete. Okay. So you don't want to give those roles to every single person in your clinic because you don't want everybody to be in there messing with the templates. You kind of want to have a systematic way of doing it. So you want to make sure that you have read, create, update, and delete checked if you are going to, under your role, your main role, if you're going to be one that is going to be altering those templates. Something else to consider is the properties. If you are looking at a template and you don't see those assign codes buttons on your template, it could be that that property is not turned on at those levels. So you could, these are red properties, and what red properties mean is that we at Bizmatics are the only ones that are able to change them. So you may have to call tech support in order to have that property changed, but you can just ask them to turn on this property. This is to add CPTs and HCPCS to your test. And this one here is to add ICD codes. You can also add under that same assign code button, if this property is on, you can also add an ICD code at that template level. Now I'm going to open it up to questions. If anybody has any questions for today.
Yes, Julia, let me thank you so much for this detailed presentation and for the step-by-step approach on creating templates. We do have a few questions. I know we did run over a little bit over time, but let's take those questions.
Okay.
So Julia, here's the first question. The question is, how do I test my new input or updates without it going live and affecting live workflows?
That's a good question. When you do create them, I would create in a different template, like a different one that somebody's not using, and then you can go ahead and test that on a progress note. and see how it's going to look and how it's going to read out. If you need to add that question to a live progress note, it will show up if you're creating them. So I would probably do that at a time that people weren't using those particular that particular template.
Okay. So the next question is, is there a difference between HTML tags, BR, the line break versus field markup?
Yes, we're going to get into that all in next month's webinar. But yes, there are differences, and they have different types of brackets too around them. So you'll know next month what type when to use what, and but there is a difference between them. Yes, they don't all work on every screen.
Okay. The next question is, can you make layout decisions when creating a template?
Yes, you can. So when we create those templates, for the input templates, it's not so much layout decisions, because it's going to be like subheadings, and then your questions are going to be there. But as far as output, yes, for output we can. Input is pretty much the same on every template.
Okay. And the next one is, do you have a library of templates we can adapt?
Good question. Our template library is there already. This in the system. All you have to do is create the questions and the answers. But yeah, any templates that are in the library currently, you can customize those templates and make them your own. You can use any one of those templates, change the wording of the question or change the answers that they're there. And yeah, you can use those templates to make them your own.
Okay. The rest, all of the questions, Julia, are related to, the sharing of the slides and the PowerPoint presentation. So yes, I wanted to let everybody know that we would be sharing the slides as well as the recording of the webinar with all of you shortly, so that you have access to all that we discussed today. So thank you again, Julia. Thank you to all our attendees for really taking out your time and being here with us today. Please be on a lookout for our next webinar. We will have the information regarding how to create output templates very shortly. So yes, thank you once again. It's bye from all of us at PrognoCIS for now. Thank you.
Thank you.